So, as you know, my name is Alex, and I'm a software engineering student, and I'm doing this interview to understand the users, the user target group of board games in general, and what people like you, people who play board games, like about board games, and what they don't like about board games. So yeah, that's about it. How was your day today?
Hello. My day today was quite lazy and chill. It's a Saturday, so I just worked out and now I'm chilling at home. That's pretty much it.
Can you tell me about your age and occupation?
Well, I'm 21 and I'm currently a student. I'm studying digital concept development at Business Academy Orhus.
Nice. And what are your hobbies? What do you like to do in your spare time?
Well, some of my hobbies, I guess, is working out, watching YouTube and different Netflix series, sometimes reading, although not that often now, and yeah, maybe creating content for Instagram.
That sounds interesting. It's quite diverse hobbies. But speaking of another hobby of yours, board games, right? How often do you play board games?
Well, I used to play board games really often, um, sort of once a week. But now that I'm not in close contact with my friends anymore, I don't really have who to play board games with, although I quite miss it now.
I see, I see. But what are your favorite board games, or yeah, what kinds of board games do you like? What do you enjoy playing?
I think the first answer would be I like Alias and I like Insider, and I also like what was it? With the land and
Is it Catan?
Catan.
Yeah.
Yes, I also liked Catan a lot.
But the first two that you mentioned,
Yeah,
Alias and
Insider.
Insider, what are those games about, and what do you like about them?
Well, for Alias, I like both because it's about intense sort of communication between people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also quite competitive. I mean, Insider is not competitive, but I'll take it by parts. So Alias I like because it's competitive. So you have teams, and you can and you have to be fast. So there is a tension, a pressure, and then you have to talk and to guess, which is something that I like. And for Insider, I like that it's also about guessing something. So besides pretending um, sort of to be a spy in the game, you also can ask questions and then guess a word, which is something similar to Alias in a way. Now that I think about it, and I guess I like guessing words and stuff like that. And I feel like I achieve something if I guess that word.
What about Catan? I know that game, and it has nothing to do with asking
Yeah.
questions and all this. What do you like about that game?
Well, I guess for Katana is also the feeling of achievement when you have a lot of resources and you can build them on them, and it's also the competition. Um, and you sort of have to think through, like you have to. I think for Catan is different that you have to have a strategy. Sort of, you have to think of the next moves in order to move and win. So, but there's also like a lack factor, which I know people complain about, but it's really pleasant when you have a lot of resources and you get all the wheat and and the trees, and yeah, that's
I see.
dopamine.
You feel like a businessman playing it.
Yes.
Yeah. But the games that you mentioned, or any other game that you played, because I bet you played more than the favorite ones that you mentioned. Um, have you ever encountered any kind of problem or issue or even annoyance playing those favorite games of yours? Anything that makes you annoyed or give you a feeling of yuck or I don't want to play it anymore or
Well, for the Catan, it could be the luck factor, which I talked about, because sometimes you feel like you do everything right and then you still lose, and there's someone else before, so you can't always explain the wins and the losses. For Alias, sometimes it was more like the condition of the game that, for example, it's designed for maximum 8 people, and if you have 8 people, it has a set just for 2 teams. And if there is a person speaking and asking or trying to explain the word, and then there's 3 people trying to guess, it feels like an overwhelm. I would suggest just a team of 2 people maybe, or 3 but not 4, so maybe that was quite confusing because Alias didn't really give you the opportunity to expand on it, sort of what if there's more people and what to do if there's more people and how to keep the game just as coordinated if you have more people, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
And for Catan is was also that maybe the rules sometimes was confusing. Sometimes some of the rules, I know that we, my friends started playing it wrong, totally wrong, not respecting the rules. And then after some time, I played it online and then understood that the game actually goes differently. So I guess just sometimes maybe the specifications of how it should be played, it was kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
And for Insider, I guess the first, not the frustration, but the annoyance is that it's not extendable, and you start to remember the words, and then it's just not fun anymore. With Alias, it can be, but Alias has so many words in it that you don't kind of remember it, and the words are so complicated that you don't really remember it unless you would play it every day. But with Insider, I feel like, especially that every card has a theme, you kind of start to remember the theme and therefore the words in it.
Okay. Um, but in general, what we talked about, what you dislike about those games, but in general, uh, why do you play board games? Or you used to play board games? Uh,
I feel like it's a really fun way to escape from reality and sort of find yourself in either a story or, I don't know, it's similar to me to a video games in a way, because you get to think in different ways and communicate with your team, and there's a fun element to it, and there's a connection to it because you want to solve something in the process, and then you also get closer to people during it. So I think that's a really nice way to have fun, and also it's sort of like an intellectual fun sometimes, because you get to think and analyze stuff.
okay. And what do you find important about the board game? Like, what are the criterias that make a board game in general, or a good one?
Hmm.
What's important for you?
Well, I think from what I have mentioned, what I prefer is that there is a pressure factor to it. I think that makes it more interesting when there is certain competition or time pressure, or so that you get a little bit thrilled when you play it. I think that's what I like. And maybe something that is not too complicated. but also it's thrilling at the same time. Sort of like Alias and the others that I mentioned, they don't have a very complex set of rules. So it's something that you can easily start playing with others. Because sometimes people have this hostility towards playing a new game that has a lot of rules, and just going through the rules, it takes a lot of time. So I guess if it's a board game that I want to play with my friends, which are not that enthusiastic about board games in general, I would like something that's not too complex, not too overwhelming, doesn't you don't spend too much time on it.
Yeah, I see. And how often do you switch between board games? Or differently said, how long do you play a board game until you are done with it? Like until it's not interesting for you to play it anymore.
I
Uh,
think I can play it for. It depends, of course. If it's with guessing words, then it's different because you, as I said, you can remember those words. So I can play it, let's say, for a month every week, and then I think I would feel like I need a break from it in order to feel enthusiastic about it again. But games like Catan, I can play, I guess, for longer until I feel like I have understood the game and I need something more complex. Or with Catan, it was like the luck factor, which kind of stopped me from continuing it. Like I could see so obviously there's a luck factor to it, then I stopped playing it.
okay, that's very interesting. You're an interesting user, of course,
Thank you.
and thank you so much for your time for this interview,
Yes.
and appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.